Ladies and gentlemen, welcome! Jordan who drew the sports crew, Jordon Lawrenz here on solo duty as, you guessed it, Sunday episode dropping. That can only mean one thing. UFC 269 recap, and I don't even have words to describe the roller coaster of a pay-per-view this was. I mean, they always stack the last pay-per-view of the year. They have done this for years now. They put not everyone, but they put a lot of top names on it. They got lucky that the Nunes-Pena fight could come here because this was supposed to take place months ago. I'm sure all of you know the result of that one by now, but I got home. I missed the Jillian Robertson fight that only went around, so these are the early prelims. I haven't watched the ESPN Plus early prelims in a long time, but with Ryan Hall and Miranda Maverick on the card, I knew I wanted to watch them, so I got home midway through the first round of Kelly and Costa, and then Ryan Hall ends up getting his decision win, which was good to see, get him back on track after he just lost. But, I mean, he's still got to work on his stand-up game, right? He's dominant on the ground, he can do all these crazy things, but still, on the feet, he got rocked a little early, and it was a little scary for him at times, but he ended up getting the win, so nothing wrong with that. And then, Miranda Maverick, man, what's happening to her? At one point, it seemed like she was going to be the next big thing, but Erin Blanchfield comes in and just doesn't stop her, but kind of just stops her from doing anything and grinds out a decision win. So that was very surprising to see Fear the Maverick go down in these early prelims. I mean, talk about a demotion. You get bumped to these early cards. Sure, it's one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, but still, and then you end up losing by decision. Not a great look. So that happened, and then ESPN 2 prelims. They were on ESPN News to start because of a basketball game running late. Bruno Silva beats Jordan right away to start. Very hot thing to go. And then Tai Tuivasa keeps coming back. I mean, this dude is hot, to say the least. Knocks out Augusto Sakai 26 seconds into round number 2. Then does the shoey. I mean, this guy, Tai Tuivasa, is a fan favorite, to say the least. Some of the things he's been able to do in his UFC career so far are just mind-blowing, to say the least. He's 13-3. He's won 4 straight, all of which by knockout. I mean, he had 3 straight losses in the UFC, but he won his first 3 fights, then he lost the next 3, now he's won 4 straight. So I'm pretty sure I touched on that in my UFC 264 recap of how he was a little bit streaky, but he put that to rest as he beats Augusto Sakai in round number 2. The last 3 were all first round finishes. So if that has something to say about what this man can do, I mean, he is definitely the future, and I cannot wait to see where he goes from here. But other than that, we had to move on, and this was a very highly anticipated fight as Pedro Munoz loses to Dominic Cruz. Cruz keeps his streak alive of only losing in title fights. Cruz beats Pedro Munoz. He's now won 2 straight, both of them by decision. He hasn't won by stoppage since 2014, where he beat Takeya Mizukai, and that was by knockout just a minute into that fight. But Cruz is not a finisher. The last finish before that was a doctor stoppage in 2010. And then you want to go even further? 2008, a knockout win. That was at Total Combat. So Cruz isn't a finish guy, but it doesn't matter because he showed out here today. He lost the first round pretty clearly. It was 1-1 going into the third, and he ended up getting the job done. So all credit goes to the one and only Dominic Cruz for being able to get things done here in the prelims, because it wasn't looking good at first, and I was like, this might not end well, but he ended up pulling it out. So great job there. And now we move to the feature prelim where we saw Josh Emmett return to the octagon. He ended up beating Dan 50K Ige. This was his first fight since June of 2020. He had a surgery on the knee, but things slowed down. It wasn't recovering the best, and ultimately he comes back, headlining the prelim, and he beats Dan Ige. He has now won 4 straight, and he has won 6 of his last 7. And I could go back even further because this guy's only got 2 losses on his resume. Jeremy Stevens and a questionable Desmond Green split decision back in 2017, but that one is whatever. That one was a while ago. He's been fighting pretty active ever since. He's fought 3 times in 2017, just the once in 2018 where he lost, but then twice in 2019 and the once in 2020 before he got back at it finally here to end the year. So Emmett is a rising contender. I cannot wait to see how he's able to fare moving on. Danny Gay, he'll always be there, no matter what, win or lose. Doesn't matter who he fights. It'll be enjoying. That doesn't even make sense. You'll enjoy it, I guess is a better way to put it. You'll enjoy it. He'll enjoy it. We'll have a good time. And that's all it is for the prelim. So I just wanted to touch on them for a few minutes here. As now we got the main card. Julianna Paiva goes down to the Sugar Show. It came down to the last few seconds of the first round, but Sugar Sean O'Malley with his third knockout win of 2021. He stopped Thomas Almeida, Chris Mutino. Remember that fight when we talked about UFC 264. And here he stops Paiva. I mean, this was a first round finish. His last two were in the third round, so certainly improving, I guess you could say, after that loss to Chito Vera. But he stopped Eddie Wyman and Jose Alberto Quinoz both in the first round in 2020. This guy is so active. He fought 3 times in 2020, 3 more times here in 2021. He has won 5 of those 6 fights. Obviously, we know the only one he lost was to Chito Vera, who was on a 2-fight win streak and just stopped Frankie Edgar on the UFC 268 card. So if that goes to say something about him, I mean, woo, Chito Vera is hot right now. But the real hot man is the Sugar Show at 15-1. This isn't boxing. You don't need to keep that O next to your name to protect anything. And Julianna Paiva, he'll be fine as well. He was coming in on a 3-fight win streak. He's now 21-4, just 26 years old. I mean, he's going to be fine. He's coming off a win over Kyler Phillips this year. He's fighting twice a year. I mean, he's staying active. He's doing the right things. He fought twice in 2019, twice in 2020, and twice here in 2021. He's 3-3 in his last 6, which isn't the best, knowing how hot he was to start his career. But, I mean, I'm not worried at all. Losing to the Sugar Show, it's wrong place, wrong time, right, for Julianna Paiva. But credit for him taking the fight. And at the end of the day, he went down, and it's nothing new at this point. Sugar Sean O'Malley, he says he doesn't care what anyone has to say about him. He's just going to go in there and do his thing, and he doesn't even try to entertain the fans. It just happens. That's just how he is, but he doesn't play it up. So he's a polarizing figure, to say the least. Some like him, some don't. And speaking of liking guys, Cody Garbrandt, that's my guy. But when you look, when you look at his last 6 fights, it's not good, right? It is. Cody Garbrandt just completely lost his chin ever since he won the belt, and then ended up losing it to TJ Dillashaw, lost in the rematch, lost to Pedro Munoz, and I don't know what's happening. He got a win. He's getting back on track. Beat Rafael Sunsao, knocked him out actually on the Nunes Spencer card in June of last year. Then he got that decision loss to Rob Font. He was able to get into a main event spot earlier this year. Lost by decision in here in the first round. Just gets knocked out by Kai Kara France. First round knockout, 3 minutes, 21 seconds in. He got knocked out by Pedro Munoz, 4 minutes, 51 seconds in. Got knocked out by TJ Dillashaw, 4 minutes, 10 seconds in. These were all in the first round. And then he got knocked out by TJ Dillashaw the first time in the second round, 2 minutes, 41 seconds in. So, I mean, he's struggling, to say the least, but he keeps getting opportunities. This was his flyweight debut against Kai Kara France. I believe Cody was rated 7th in the bantamweight division, and Kai Kara was ranked 6th in the flyweight. So, I mean, this was a big test coming in here, but it didn't work out for him at the end of the day. He's now in a struggling position. Obviously, I don't think he's in any position where the UFC is going to release the guy, but he has lost way too many fights by knockout, and early knockouts. A lot of people question the chin on Cody Garbrandt, and we all wonder where it went, because this kid loved to scrap, and now he can't really do that because he'll get himself in danger. So all credit goes to Kai Kara France, won 3 of his last 4. I mean, they're not the most notable wins, but this flyweight division is interesting, to say the least, and He's won back-to-back fights by knockout in the first round. So there is that for him, UFC 259 and UFC 269. And again, he's another one of those active fighters. Fought twice in 2018, fought 3 times in 19, and then twice in 20 and 2021, respectively. So Kai Kara-France gets the win. I don't know how much he can really move up in the rankings after a fight like this, but he got a win. Got another win on his resume, so that's all that really matters for him. This next fight I didn't really care for. Geoff Neal and Santiago Ponzinibio, and I knew it coming in. This was the weakest of the main card fights. Geoff Neal was a whole lot of legal trouble, got arrested, things before the fight, but he ended up still getting to fight, ends up winning by split decision. I don't know that I agree with the decision. It was a close fight. It wasn't the most entertaining fight, but one of the judges had it 30-27 Geoff Neal, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one. I do not know how. I don't understand how you could put it 30-27 to Geoff Neal. The other ones were 29-28, I believe, but I don't. Geoff Neal certainly did not win all 3 rounds. I mean, he didn't win the first round. Like, it's pretty simple. He did not win the first round, no matter how you look at it. And the second round was up in the air. I think he won the third. I think you could definitely argue that he was more aggressive. He was doing some great things in the third round, was attacking a little bit more, picking his strikes well. But even the second round, I don't know if he won. I mean, this was also a very weird fight where Mark Smith, referee, he was like the entire first round, he was telling Ponzinibio to watch your fingers. Never did anything about it because it never ended in an eye poke, but he was just watching him, and he knew that the way Ponzinibio was attacking and the way his hands were out, that things could get dangerous. They never did, but we also had a low blow, so I don't know. I mean, this wasn't a good fight. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. There was a good third round, and that was it. Geoff Neal's corner, oh my goodness, that was the money one going into round 2, I'm pretty sure. I think it was round 2. It was either round 2 or round 3. They were not happy with Geoff Neal at all, and they wanted to lay it all out there, and he did. He hasn't lost 3 straight now. He ends up beating Ponzinibio here, and you can just kind of put aside the unanimous decision losses to Neil Magny and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He beat Mike Perry, Nico Price, Bal, remember the name Muhammad. That was a big win back in 2019, and now he beats Ponzinibio in his second fight here in 2021, so we'll see what happens next for Geoff Neal. I'm not worried really about either of these guys. Again, I think Ponzinibio is 35 years old, which I guess I really didn't realize, but he will rebound. He's 2-2 in his last 4, but 2 of those wins, well, I mean, you got to look back a little bit more to see some of his big wins. Neil Magny, Mike Perry, Gunnar Nelson, Zach Cummins you could even throw in there. Same with Court McGee, but he beat Sean Strickland in 2015. If you want to look at that, it's just the longer you go back, I guess longer these guys have to improve is a good way to put it. So I don't know. Let's just move on. That was not a good fight. It's plain and simple. That was not a good fight. Time to move on. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say because Julianna Pena is the new bantamweight champion of the world. Amanda Nunes gets stopped in round number 2. Taps out to Julianna Pena. I mean, Nunes kind of had her right where she wanted her. You know, in the first round, things were looking good, and then she went down and on the ground, and I didn't understand it. And then in the second round, Julianna Pena comes out swinging. I mean, these girls were fighting in the center of the octagon. Joe Rogan said it best. He said that Amanda Nunes didn't look like herself. He also commented on the Kimura in the first round. That was never really a factor at all, so I don't know what he was looking at there, but Pena had no real shot of ever locking that in, but it did worry Nunes a little bit. I still questioned why she went to the ground, and then in the second round, these girls came out swinging. This was unlike something we've ever seen, and she was looking gassed. I mean, she was looking kind of tired, and Julianna Pena ended up getting Nunes down at kind of a knockdown. I don't really know if they considered it one or not, but she gets her down and then gets her back, and a rear naked choke is all it takes. The whole world was turned upside down. Like, the actual world this is unreal. I mean, this is Amanda Nunes won that belt at UFC 200 for Miesha Tate. So it's been since 2016 since she's been able to hold it. And now she lost that bantamweight belt to Julianna Pena. I mean, Pena is of someone a lot of people said didn't really deserve this fight. Who'd she beat, right? It was one of those situations. She beat Sarah McMahon. But other than that, you look at her resume, she didn't really do a whole lot. She was 2-2 in her last 4 coming into this one. Hasn't won much since before 2017. She had a 4-fight win streak from 2013 to 2016. That was it. I mean, I'm shocked. That is all I can say. Absolutely shocked. The Venezuelan vixen at 32 years old, just 11-4, is the one to not only beat but stop Amanda Nunes. I actually just got a notification here when I was talking about it, and it says Amanda Nunes knows she's human. And if last night wasn't a wake-up call, I don't know what is. This is unreal. I mean, a minus 1,000 favorite on betting day. A bettor put $318,000 on Amanda Nunes. He only would have won like 30 grand. That's how much of a favorite she was. But it's knowing Amanda Nunes, it was like a free 30 grand is how I put it. And instead of a free 30 grand, you, sir, have lost $318,000 because of this fight. Julianna Pena is the new bantamweight champion of the world. It doesn't even seem right. This, in my opinion, this might be bigger than Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey. Betting-wise, Holly Holm was an even bigger underdog. But this right here, Ronda Rousey, yes, she dominated everyone. Her first round arm bars, we know it. But the caliber of opponents that Amanda Nunes was beating, I mean, how many times can we mention her stopping Ronda Rousey, right? Knocking out Ronda Rousey in her return fight in round 1. Stopped Miesha Tate. Beat Valentina Shevchenko by split decision. I mean, people still up in the air about that one, right? But then, Holly Holm stops her in the first round. Cyborg stops her in the first round. It's just, I mean, 51 seconds is all it took to stop Chris Cyborg, and 48 seconds is all it took to stop Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm got 4 minutes into the fight. But Julianna Pena defeats Amanda Nunes. Like I said, it is tough for me to wrap my head around this one. I'll say it one more time. Julianna Pena is the new bantamweight champion of the world. It's unreal. It is unreal. And then we had to rebound. We had to get back on track for our main event where Dustin came out swinging. This fight was exactly like the Chandler fight. Charles Oliveira avoids an immediate onslaught. Dustin didn't gas himself. I wouldn't say that at all. I mean, he's much smarter than that. But Oliveira shows this man has a chin. I would really like him to donate some of it to Cody Garbrandt. He could benefit from that. Both of them could, But, I mean, oh my goodness. Charles Oliveira dominates the second round. Dustin gets taken down, and then he kind of sat there, and Joe Rogan questioned something was up with his ribs or whatever, and that was just a bunch of BS. I don't know what he was talking about. I mean, Oliveira was landing some good body shots to Dustin, but there was nothing with that. Dustin just didn't want to give up anything worse, so you just lose a round, They talked about it with the Khabib fight where he wishes he didn't move positions because he ended up getting submitted. I mean, that's Khabib, entirely different, but the Bronx is the Bronx, man. I mean, he is legit on the ground as well, and that's where he gets the job done in the third. It didn't take long before it was basically the same exact takedown position as we saw in the second round, and then boom. Just like that, the Bronx gets the back. Dustin knew he couldn't give up his back, and well, he did, and he ends up submitting, so he's lost both of his title fights here in the past 2 years, gets stopped Rear naked choke both times in the third round, both times, once to Khabib and once to the Bronx. So there's no shame in either of those losses. It's just, I wouldn't say there's shame in not being the champ, but Dustin will come back. I'm sure of it. He has been on such a hot streak, but this is the Bronx's time. This is Charles Oliveira's time. He hasn't lost a fight since 2017, and in that stretch, he's beaten guys like Clay Guida, Jim Miller, Nick Lentz, Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, and Dustin Poirier. Since 2020, he's beaten, one more time, Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, and Dustin Poirier, and he has stopped all of them except Tony Ferguson. So this guy's legit, right? I mean, no one's out here stopping Tony Ferguson. I know he's lost his last 3, and Justin Gaethje was able to stop him. However, this is wild. What the Bronx is able to do right now is just, he's beating everyone, and give him Gaethje next, right? I think that's got to be the fight. Gaethje just beat Chandler, who was in the interim, or who was in that lightweight title fight, I should say, not interim. We'll get to interim coming up, but he was in that fight since Khabib dropped the belt. It was on Chandler Oliveira. Chandler loses. Gaethje Chandler is the next fight. Gaethje wins an absolute scrap against Michael Chandler. So, I mean, if I'm booking this thing, right, if I get to pick, I do not want to see Chandler and Poirier. I don't know who I'd root for. I don't know who I would root for at all. That would be crazy. But Michael Chandler will rebound. He'll be just fine. Dustin Poirier will rebound. He'll be just fine. I think it's got to be DeBronx and Gaethje. I think Gaethje finally gets another crack at the belt. And, I mean, this lightweight division is absolutely stacked. Gaethje is 23-3. Only time he lost recently was to Khabib, and that was in a title fight. Obviously, got submitted, but he has a loss to, guess who? Dustin Poirier back in 2018. They were a main event of a Fox show. Dustin got the win in the 4th round. But other than that, Gaethje has won 4 of his last 5. And like I said, that only loss is to Khabib. So there's nothing wrong with losing to Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the all-time GOATs. And guys, other than that, I think it's going to do it. UFC 269, that was our event. And now our next fight, the Black Beast, baby. Derek Lewis next Saturday. Cannot wait. It's kind of a stacked card. I believe it's the last card of the year. Don't quote me on that, but the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, takes on Chris Daukaus. It'll be an interesting fight. Hopefully Derek Lewis is able to rebound, and we all know what happened when he got a crack at the heavyweight title, and that was the Cyril Gane fight, and woof, it didn't end well, to say the least, but he just didn't do anything, plain and simple. So, yes, this is the last card of the year, and then we've got Kelvin Kattar to open 2021 on January 15th, so a month off of UFC, basically, before UFC 270, which I'll get to in a second. But next week, co-main, this is a good one. By all remember the name Muhammad against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That is going to be great, as Wonderboy tries to get himself back on track. I mean, that's a guy that everyone thought was next in line, and no one was really able to figure out his style, but it's Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is not unbeatable. And we learned that when Gilbert Burns somehow rebounded and beat him. I mean, we were all questioning Gilbert Burns after his loss to Usman, but he came out and did it. So good for him. Wonderboy has a win over Jeff Neal in 2020, who just got a win. So that's enough about that card. There are a few other notable names on there, but UFC 270 is where it's at. We get another Greg Hardy main card fight. Alexei Oleinik is going to absolutely demolish him, but fingers crossed for that. Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson, a battle of top 5 middleweights. That'll be insane. Winner of that likely going to face the winner of Adesanya and Whitaker 2. That is going to be huge coming up. That's the February pay-per-view. We got 2 title fights once again here at UFC 270. Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, the trilogy. The 3rd time these two going at it. Can't wait. And then the main event to crown the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Number 1 ranked, interim champ, unbeaten. Cyril Gane is in a pick'em right now against the I can't even say undisputed champ, Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champion of the world. This thing is going to be insane. Is Ngannou going to be able to put Seal gone down. What is Gone going to be able to, I mean, there's nothing better than a heavyweight fight, guys. So here we are, a nice 25-minute UFC recap. It's kind of the length now as we move on here with these. But yeah, that's all I got. I mean, it was Julianna Pena is the bantamweight champion. Unreal. I can't even wrap my head around it. So that is all we got, guys. Jordan Drew _sports crew on the Instagram. Jordan Drew the Sports Crew on Facebook and on YouTube. Tomorrow, episode 40 of the podcast. And then on Wednesday, Drew's College Athlete Spotlight, episode 7. And then Friday, we do a brand new series. Zack, Jared, and Drew's Journey to $1 Million, all about sports betting and daily fantasy sports and fun stuff is going to be on our Friday episodes moving forward. But that's all I got, guys. Thank you all for listening to another edition of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.